Yes, then, the moment that I've been waiting for a very, very long time. It is day one, or not day one, but episode one of the World of Darts podcast, joined by my co-host, Chris Welch. So first of all, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's get into the admin. Chris's link to his channel is down below. Please make sure to drop him a sub. But first of all, how are you feeling? And got a lot to talk about today.
Well, everyone's ignored me by now, just my usual self, as always. Giving my honest opinion on anything.
Yeah, so like I said, a massive big up to Chris for joining us for the podcast. So there is three sort of elements or things that we're going to talk about. First of all, three topics. I'm going to try and aim for 2 or 3 topics every sort of episode, and then question time. So the first one, we're not going to get into the sort of controversial stuff first. We're just going to go into something that happened at the very start of the year, which was, or middle of last year, or end, you know what I mean, the end of last year going into the first couple of days of this year, which was the World Darts Championship, the best event of the darting year, which was won in the end by Peter Wright, beating Michael Smith in the final. Not going to go too much into depth about the whole tournament because, that's long gone now, to be fair. But let's just have a look at the final. How did you think pre-game the final was going to go, and was you was you shocked with how it ended up? Because personally, the better player won.
The better player won the final in the end. You have to say that. Yeah. Before the final, then I did expect Peter Wright to be the favourite because he has won it before and he's been in finals of the World Darts Championship before as well. And I think the pressure was on Michael Smith because I think everyone was building it up, saying, "Yeah, it's done be his year. It's all destined for him." To be fair, I did put Michael Smith to win it because I thought he was a better player from previous years. At the time, he reached the world final, so I still think he is now. Even though he lost the final, I still think he's still in a good place for me, Michael Smith. Of course, we had tears at the end, and yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that. Just get on with it.
Yeah,
get on with it. Chin up.
You can see why. You can see why the tears were. I think
yeah.
any other situation, maybe there wouldn't be sort of tears in the sort of reaction to it, but because it meant so much, and he's tried so hard to get.
He was in control as well. Final.
He should have won that final. I don't care. I'm not saying bottling because, in the final against Michael Van Gerwen, it was 7-3. It was game over. That was a game. I don't care what no one says. Yes, he was in command of it. Yes, you probably should go on to win the game from that point. But in the total grand scheme of things, looking at it, Peter Wright just showed glimpses of his
Peter Wright just turned on the throttle, didn't he, after 5-4 down? Walked himself off, probably with pouring water all over him, and then he probably meant business after that.
He's done that against Damon Hector as well.
He just went in on that incredible one of the heads, didn't he? And it's unstoppable really from Peter Wright.
Especially when he was going 140, Michael Smith's going 180, and then Peter Wright's matching him with a 180, or he's going 140 and Peter Wright's going 180. Like, have some of that pal sort of thing.
Definition of a champion as well, Peter Wright. He really is, off any major.
In terms of the whole tournament, like I said, we're not going to go deep into each game or certain stages of the tournament. What did you make of the tournament? And then I'm going to ask a question that has been brought up a lot about the tournament, but what did you make of the tournament on the dartboard? We won't get into off the dartboard at the moment, but on the dartboard, what did you make of the tournament as a whole?
On the dartboard, probably one of the best worlds we've seen. On the dartboard, I mean, remarkable with a 9 darter to win the match from Lee Borland. He got shot players making an unexpected one. Wayman Smith, for example.
Alan Suter.
Alan Suter, Tyron Woods. Even though it's not a bit of a surprise with Tyron Woods, but it kind of is with the seeds that went out, and it opened up for him to make it to quarterfinal.
That's another thing.
And,
The seeds that dropped. Dimitri
yeah.
van den Berg dropped. Ratajski dropped early. We're not going to go into Van der Voort or Van Gogh because that was. I don't want to bring that side of it up, but there was a lot of seeds that dropped pretty early, and it just gave for a great tournament. Like you said, Callum Ridds, Alan Suter, and Raymond Smith, probably the three best non-seeded players in the tournament, and the ones that got the furthest.
I do think Raymond Smith was the biggest surprise of the lot because most people wouldn't have heard of him when he turned into World Darts Championship. It's like, with no disrespect to him, everyone was probably like, who the hell is this guy? And watching him play in every match, I was impressed by him. Of course, didn't end well in the end against Mervynton. I think he kind of lost it at 3-2.
Yeah.
Getting involved with the crowd as well. And
that's the worst thing you can do in that pressured situation where you're in a tight game. You had the lead, and the worst thing to do is get involved in the crowd, which leads me on to my next point about the tournament. What did you make of the crowd? For me, I'm just going to say it: the worst crowd we've seen at the tournament ever. The booing I can sort of take. I can take booing. That's the whole point of an entertainment business. We see it in pantomimes, booing the villain, and Gerwyn Price is seen as a darts villain, going against, the traditional sort of darts player or traditional way of playing sort of thing. So he's sort of seen as the villain. But when it goes to xenophobia and when it goes to some of the chants we were hearing towards Gerwyn Price, it doesn't put on a good spectacle, does it? And for me, like I said, I'm just going to say it, the worst crowd at the Worlds that I've ever seen anywhere. I've never seen anything like that before, to be truthfully honest.
Yeah, I agree. That was the only unfortunate part about the World Darts Championship where the crowd were pretty bad, if I'm being honest. It's not. They even booed Steve Beaton, which I didn't agree with at all. I know he was against pretty that person, Van Schiller. He's a legend of darts, Steve Beaton, isn't he? And he's now a fan's favourite as well. It's not just that as well. Non-English players all got booed as well. Whenever a non-English player was against an English player,
even the Scottish as well.
The Japanese player who played Tyron Woods in the
Yamada,
first round, I think it was Yamada.
Not even that. The Scottish Scotland get battered everywhere they go. I know I've noticed this for the last.
Yeah, it's ironic. Scotland won the World Darts Championship as well.
Yeah, which is even funny. And Peter Wright is a fan favourite, like Gary Anderson, two Scottish players. Right. So overall, what would you sort of rate the tournament as everything? I'm not just going to say on the dart, but off the tournament, off the board. Sorry. I'd probably say I'd go 6 or 7. Just that crowd brings it down for me, to be honest.
I would give it 8 out of 10. I would have given it 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the crowd.
Yeah.
But 8 out of 10 because of the minority of the crowd who were just crossing the line, really.
Yeah, it was just too far for me. I look, people in the chat may think we're being a bit harsh. I don't think we are, but if you're entitled to your opinion.
It's not just the crowd as well. I think the players who had to withdraw as well puts it down. I'm not saying Mike Van Duren, for example, was going to go on to win it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's just unfortunate for them to withdraw because we might have actually seen more remarkable matches like we already saw for the World Darts Championship if Van Duren's still there.
Yeah, right. The next thing is what happened in Milton Keynes and in Niedenhausen. I did do streams on it on my channel, so big up to everyone that joined throughout that week. It was such a hectic week, and I've actually got the order of merit, which I'm just going to pop up now. So, like I said, we'll go through the UK side of things first because ultimately that's where most of the sort of eyes were peeled towards. So in terms of the actual day winners, James Wilson, Darren Webster, Ross Montgomery, and Josh Rock. And then the 13 players that won it on the order of merit: Jamie Clark, Ted Everts, Connor Scott, Richie Burnett, Kevin Burness, Scott Waits, Nathan Rafferty, Cameron Menzies, John O'Shea, George Killington, Mickey Mansell, Nick Folwell, and Sean Wilkinson. Just on that, is there any shocks in there? Because I've already wrote down a few shocks, to be truthfully honest, because I did prepare, even though it may seem like I didn't. So I have got quite a couple of names in that list that ultimately I weren't anywhere near my, sort of picks to get a tour card.
Yeah, I would say George Killington's one of them, one of the shocks.
Yeah.
Sean Wilkinson. Who else is there? Nick Folwell. I think so. He's a shock as well. Even though he's from the WDF.
Ross Montgomery, I think.
Yeah, Ross Montgomery.
I didn't expect him to come over because let's be fair, he played very patchy at times. It wasn't, for example, looking at the list, like a Jamie Clark who played absolutely fantastic. By the way, big shout out to him. He was excellent in the first stage. He was excellent at final stage. How he didn't win a day, like we'll talk about someone over in EU in a minute, how they didn't win a day. But yeah, I mean, you look at that list, you've got the World Youth Champion, which I still think the World Youth Champion should get a tour card, but that's a debate for another day potentially. But I genuinely think if you win the World Youth Championship, you deserve to get a tour card, which, there's so many avenues these days for people to get tour cards and places in tournaments, not off the order of merit, but we'll talk about that later or further on. James Wilson, you was actually on the stream on that day when he beat Cameron Menzies in the final. So adamant, you were saying to me, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. It just seems like the most James Wilson type of thing to do, and he did get it. To be fair, Darren Webster as well. It just feels like only a few years ago he was, I think it was 8-0 up against Michael Van Gerwen at the Players' Championship, either 8 or 9-0 up. About to win, and Michael Van Gerwen rails off 10 legs on the spin. That's going to hurt.
Dan Webb's on your podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Darren, if you're watching, pal. But yeah. Ross Montgomery, like I said, and Josh Rock, another player that played pretty well. But it's good to see players like Nathan Rafferty on the tour. Mickey Mansell, yes. A lot of people have said, he's probably one of the most boring players to watch on the tour. But to be fair, he put quite a few 100+ averages during Q School. But like I said, is there anyone?
He's the same as James Wilson for me. That's the job done.
Yeah.
In Q still terms apart. When it comes to the actual tournaments, it's another debate about that. So
looking at this list, then, is there anyone that from like the automatic winners and the order of merit? Is there anyone that you went into Q School thinking they're going to get a tour card and they're on this list? For me, I said Ted Everts was a certain to get one. I think he's just too good. And he nearly actually won the order of merit. But was there anyone on the list that you sort of thought, yeah, guaranteed to get one?
Scott Waits for me.
Yeah, Scott Waits.
He
lost in the final. I think it was Darren Webster who beat him in a final. Very, very unlucky, Scott Waits.
I'm not shocked to see Richie Burnett there either, if I'm being honest.
Kevin Burnett is another one.
Kevin Burnett. I wanted Nathan Rafferty to get one, and I'm so happy he has got one. From what I've seen of him in the Trans etc. I do really like him, not in that way, but I do.
Oh, come on. Yeah, very, very capable darts player, I must say. Nathan Rafferty took, I think it was either Gerwin Price or Johnny Clayton. It was Gerwin Price, I think. Gave him a decent game in the group stage of the Grand Slam. Unfortunately,
he played both of them, didn't he?
Yeah.
He played Johnny Clayton. That's the
last
thing.
16. Yeah,
he might be down
by
Price in the group stages.
Yeah,
in match day 1, I think it was, where Darren Price plays best, but.
That's what the world players do, and they just get over the line. Just going to put on the EU side of things then, because obviously that wasn't the only Q School. There was the EU side of things. So the EU tour card holders then: Jose Justicia, Brian Roman, Luke Peters, Christoph Kachuk. And then on the order of merit, someone like I said, how didn't he win a day? Super Mario Vanden Bogard. That's definitely not right. Jules Van Dongen, Kevin Doertz, Tony Martinez, Danny Anson, Radek Sagansky, Damian Mole, Jimi Hendrix. Oh, I hated this man's name all throughout Q School. Ricardo Piechko, Vladimir Anderson, Raby, John Rodriguez. Just want to bring up one person before we run through it. This man is a very, very lucky man, Raby John Rodriguez, because he must have been absolutely nerve as hell on that final day of final stage, because there was players around him that were getting to the quarterfinals, getting to the semi-finals, and were very, very close to him. In fact, 3 legs away from him, to be very honest about it. So I'm not sure. I think he's going to look back at that and think, I've got away with that. I need to perform a lot better on the tour, especially in these. Well, essentially, Q School is a pro tour, isn't it? Essentially, all day, one competition. But look, there's no point looking at this, because at the end of the day, Raby John Rodriguez is the one in 11th place, and he's the one that's got the tour card. But is there any shocks? Oh, bloody hell. Is there any shocks? And is there any players that, like I said, you were going into it thinking they're going to get a card?
I think I would have to put Willie John Reid as a shock for being so low down. The merit. I thought he should have got the job done earlier if he played at his best. But luckily, he's got through. He's straight through.
Question in the chat, actually, that is a shock. Luke has gone, no Yella or Christian Kist. Yella Klassen
He's chopped off, hasn't he?
I will search it, but Yella Klassen, 98th on the order of merit, 0 points. I'm so glad that Luke has brought that into the chat room, because that is something I want to ask you. Where does Yella Klassen's career go from here?
Don't know, honestly. It's mad, really. It is mad. It wasn't so long ago. Well, probably 2016, where he reached the semi-finals at the World Darts Championship, where he lost to Darry Hansen.
Got in the Premier League.
And he got in the Premier League as well.
I think, was he semi-final of the match play, or was that Des Van? I keep getting those two mixed up.
That was Jeffrey Deswan.
I thought it was, yeah. But,
I mean, I don't think it's good enough for Yella Klassen, if I'm being honest. And he's a world champion in the BDO.
Yeah.
And he should be doing a lot more better. And he should really be on his air there. He should be inside top 32 easy. But he isn't. You are where you are. You are where you are.
Does he go to the Challenge Tour now, do you think? Does he try and do something? Does he go on the online leagues, or
I think
anything to save his career? Because for me, the only way he does it is he does something magical where he sort of gets invited onto the Pro Tour via like the alternative route and stuff, gets a place at the World somehow, or whatever it may be, or he just nails on that practice board. Maybe it's a mental block stopping him, and maybe just passes that, or tries to pass that, and then goes Q School next year, because ultimately, for a world champion, that is not good enough. We've seen a few world champions over the years that have just breezed through Q School. Scott Waite, not breezed, but comfortably got his card. Raymond van Barneveld as well.
Last year from the good old days.
Yeah. So there's a lot of players that have sort of come into Q School. I'm trying to word it in the best possible way, but come into Q School with the massive name that they are, and just thought, look, I'm too good for this. I'm a world champion. I'm too good, and just breezed through it.
But it's completely different. Q still, you still need to go and do it and don't prove yourself. There's no point being arrogant. I'm not saying John Part was arrogant. John Part just did it for the fun of it, if I'm being honest. Because I think John Part just gave it a go. in Q still, just to see how he was, how he's playing.
Yeah, I think people have it, not having a go, but people sort of saying, "Oh, John Pat is not good enough. Why did he turn up?" At the end of the day, you can see why he turned up, because he just wanted to give it a go and
test himself out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it just seems like people are not realizing that John Part is a 3-time world champion, and like he's just your random bob that has gone down Q school and tried to test his arm. He's a very capable darts player. And let's be fair, the sort of chance to get a tour card now, I just don't think that was a viable option for him. I just didn't think he was going to get it, and people may
still
think
shocked, class and night, because I still thought, even if he's not at his best form, I still think he would have got a tour card. I actually thought the same with Benito van der Parts as well.
Yeah. But what was your thoughts on? I've got a few players here that are not necessarily big names in. Well, you could say they are actually in the darting world, but there's 3 players that didn't make it and have not got a tour card. One, probably you can understand why he didn't, for obvious reasons. The 3 players that I've noted are, of course, Fallon Sherrock, Matthew Edgar, and Jack Langston, the darts referee. For me, we said this on a stream, on one of the Q School streams that you jumped on for. Jack has gone there for the experience, for the content. He's not gone there to, you can't say not gone there to win, because why would you turn up if you've not gone there to win? But he's not gone there thinking, I'm generally going to get a tour card here. But about the other 2, was you shocked about? I know what you might say about Fallon, but was you shocked about Matthew Edgar, Fallon, or maybe you were shocked about Jack? Maybe you was. I'm not too sure what your thoughts are on it. But what's your thoughts on both of that then?
It was a hard one with Jack because it depends on how he's been playing. And also, to be fair, then I think he was just testing it out. And I wasn't too disappointed that I didn't get a tour card. Not to say that in a bad way.
Yeah.
I think he can learn from it. The other 2, Matthew Edgar, probably I'm surprised about.
Yeah,
I am surprised about him.
I think Matthew Edgar, look, is a stat that he will not want to hear. But I think he's like the most successful player ever at Q School, isn't he? Which means he's lost his card quite a few times, I think. Either that or every time he's gone to... No, I don't think he's the... Yeah, I think every time he's gone to Q School, he's got a card, which shows you how sort of successful he is at Q School.
Yeah, and as for fans, so well, it just shows what players he is without the crowd on her side. I'm probably going to get attacked in the comments for that, but I don't care. I really don't care. I'm just in my honest opinion, and I was still disappointed by Van Surf, though. To be fair,
yeah, even though
without the crowd thing and all that, and the media hype building her up, and all this nonsense that she should get in the Prem League and all that. But I think Van Surf...
Well, that's something we'll talk about very shortly, and I don't think it's something that...
She's a dub player, I will admit that. She is a dub player, and I thought she will probably get a tour card, if I'm being honest. If she can play, yeah, she has been.
Right, let's have a look at a few of the comments. We'll go through some of these comments just because I want to, see what you guys are saying. Luke says, good evening to yourself. Toby says, Rowby deserved the luck after he had way too good not to have a tour card. Obviously, Luke, like we've said, no yellow or kissed. We've touched on that. Fallon Sherrock or Matthew Edgar. Let's not get into that in terms of Fallon. Also, Yankee Clipper, something that Chris is going to pride himself on about Jules Van Dongen. a couple of things about Yella in the BDO. Boo says, what do you guys think about Jimi Hendrix?
I wasn't too shocked about him then.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I don't think he should be going on the guitar, which Luke says previously is a mean guitar player. I don't think he should have the strings for the guitar. I think he should put them down and throw a bit of steel instead. Luke says a few players from the UK Q School would have been well advised to try the Euro Q School. Rob Thornton, etc. Wouldn't be allowed. Wouldn't be allowed to. It's just unlucky, to be fair. How to F, I'm not going to swear, but how the F is Benito only 28. It's mental. Benito van der Pas has been around a long time. Pat just wanted to match practice before the seniors. And not just that, to be fair. He's the type of man that you can say, do what you want, mate. You're a three-time world champion. You can't say, why are you rocking up just for match practice? Do what you want. Michael says, Edgar had the 4th highest average, more of a draw problem for Edgar.
Point, to be fair.
Yeah, for Edgar, it was just unlucky that Chaz Barstow thing two days in a row. That, like, when it happened at the time, I was like, bloody hell, you must be unlucky, laughing about it sort of thing. But that is someone's career put on the line by getting the same draw twice. I don't think that should be allowed to happen. But look, there might have been other draws along the day the week.
If Matthew Edgar would have had a more favourable draw, I think he would have gotten that Order of Merit for Houston.
And he nearly got it on the final day, to be fair. It was a very late run. I don't think he was expecting that.
I think he had too much to do in the end.
Yeah. Catboy says, is this being released on YouTube to watch whenever? Yes, all of these episodes will be staying on YouTube. I'm looking as well to potentially put these on Spotify. Obviously, if you want to listen in. Byrne says, when you look at the resumes of players in the UK Q School versus the... definitely agree with that. UK Q School is 10 times harder to get a tour card than what it is for Euro. Right then. The Premier League, I can't remember what day it was, but it was last week. The Premier League announced their new
Friday, wasn't it?
Was it Friday? It may have been Friday. Yeah, it was Friday. It was the penultimate day of Q School, and they announced a new format for the Premier League. So the Premier League will no longer consist of 10 players. It's going to be an 8-player field, which will be 8 players, a quarter-final, semi-final, final, and there will be a winner every day. First of all, what's your initial reaction and initial thoughts around the Premier League? I'm going to try and find some sort of image to put on the screen. So what's your initial thoughts on the Premier League announcement?
Still trying to get my head around it. I'm still trying to recover, trying not to get a headache over it with the stupid format and the stupid format it is, and it's just confused. Don't get me wrong, I have got used to it. Wow, when I've looked at it. But I still don't like it. I still don't change anything that's not broken. To be fair, Premier League has had its doubts whether it's a big tournament or not, whether it's a friendly tournament, etc. And obviously, it doesn't count towards the PT or the merit either.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't.
Johnny Clayton will be cursing the Premier League because he would have had a few more titles and a few more ranking points if he won the Premier League and the Masters.
With the way that all the merit planned out, Johnny Clayton might have actually been, if every time was PT or the merit, Clayton would probably be in top 3. Probably.
Yeah, because Michael Van Gogh had a stinker. I'm going to take the final sort of comments on Q School before we get the image up about the Premier League. Sean says like and share, comment and subscribe. Yes, good to say that. Should the Dutch have their own Q school? I tell you what, leave your actual questions for the end because we have got a question time where we're going to pick a couple of questions from the chat. So leave your actual questions for the end. I'd like to see Q score used. Yeah. Leave all of the questions for question time. Yankee says, I'm glad they're trying something new with the Premier League, but I worry about it getting boring. I don't want to see the same matches over and over again. Right, let's actually bring up the graphic so you guys can see exactly what we mean. So this is the graphic then over on the PDC sort of Twitter page. As you can see, there's obviously 4 players already on there. Gerwin Price, world number 1. Peter Wright, world number 2. Michael Van Gerwen, world number 3. Johnny Clayton, arguably one of the 4 best players in the world.
I have something to say about that Porter, but I'll let you continue.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So that's 4, and we know there's going to be 8. So get in the chat now what you think your 8 will be. Because we thought it was going to be confirmed the other day, but there's taken a bit of a twist where they've not announced the Premier League 8. So by the order of logic and, the most logical thing to do would be to have these 4 in it. I mean, if they're not, then I'd really be questioning who is putting this poster out. So presuming these 4 in it, get your Premier League 8 in the chat. I'll come back to them in a minute. But Chris, you wanted to bring something up.
Yeah, it was about the poster with the players in the poster last year. Them 4, they deserve to be in it. No questions about that. But what that's me is, does that mean James Wade's not in it? Because you would think, because James Wade's in the top 4 of the PT Order of Merit. But even though these 4 in that poster probably are the best 4 players in the world right now.
Maybe that's a marketing thing. Maybe probably Johnny Clayton, because
but Clayton is the defending Premier League champion as well. So
that's
probably
true.
why
So
they put him in there.
So it might be the top 3 and then the reigning champion. But
they did it with Ken Dolan, didn't they? In the last poster when he was champion.
So I can see where you're coming from.
But it's still my point out there. Does that mean James Wade probably not in it, because Wade has made it here in the past that he's not too interested in the Premier League.
Yeah. So just to clarify, because there is going to be a lot of sort of confusion and stuff like that with sort of how it's going to work. So there's going to be a quarterfinal, semi-final, final each night for the first 7. So everyone plays each other once in that first 7 weeks. Then night 8, it will be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 3 5 in the quarterfinals based on the ranking points that they've achieved in the first 7. And then you'll play everyone again in the reverse fixtures, just playing each other the second time. And then night 16, it'll be the same that night 8 was: 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, 4v5 in the quarterfinals. Yankee makes a good point, like we've just mentioned as well. I hope Wade is in it. He is the world number 4 in the world, which is deserving of a spot in the Premier League. I'm not sure. I'm not in the know in any stretch or the imagination. Me and Chris are not in the know. But one thing we've got to be certain of, and we've got to be certain of this, they have got to follow the last how many editions where the top 4 are guaranteed a place. It's got to be in there. No matter what, it has to be in there.
Yeah, because that's going to be controversial if it's the top 3 and James Wade isn't in it.
Well, someone has said in the chat, let me see who it was, because I seen the comment but I didn't see the actual name. Michael, great name by the way, has put in the chat, order of merit 1 through 8, who can argue? Me. Because I do, if this is going to be a quarterfinal, semi-final, final, quick fire matches, I do not want to see Jose De Sousa in it. And I'm sorry if that's gonna, annoy De Sousa fans, but for me, if I'm gonna watch, because this is basically going to be a pro tour from the quarterfinal stage, if I'm going to see this every night as a fan, as a spectator, as a streamer, I do not want to see Jose in it, and that could be harsh. So my 8. I don't know if you want to let me know yours in a minute, Chris, and then we'll see if the chat have got any in. So get your 8 in. My 8 would be Price, Wright, Van Gerwen, Wade, Smith, Anderson as 6, Clayton as 7. And I'm just going to do what I said before, Rob Cross. That's my 8. And that means that's 8 of the top 10. We're not having someone who's not got a tour card for a certain person, or we're not having someone who's outside. Look, for me, no one outside the top 16 can be in it. I really cannot have a Callan Ridds, a Ryan. Well, Ryanson is just in the 16, but I don't want to see someone like I've seen some names like Luke Humphreys. I've seen Callan Ridds. I've seen people like that. And don't get me wrong, it would be nice, a nice addition to the Premier League to see someone like that. But for me, it has to be the best 8 players in the world. I've seen this on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if the chat will agree with me on this, but I've seen something on Twitter or on a podcast, I can't remember, and I thought I'd bring it to this. They basically said, if Fallon is in the Premier League, it has to be another curveball that gets in with her, because it will just seem very, very strange putting 7 quality players in and Fallon. For me, if they're going to put her in there, it has to be 6 players, like we've mentioned, and then maybe a Ryan Searle and Fallon, or a Callan Ridds and Fallon. So it's not like Rob Cross, Smith, Wade, Anderson, Price, Clayton, Van Gerwen, and then Fallon. It's got to be 6, someone different and Fallon, in my opinion. If she doesn't get in for me, but if she does get in, that's the way they've got to do it.
She shouldn't get in for me.
Yeah. She absolutely shouldn't. Right, let's see if we've got any. Oh God, I've seen a comment that I don't really want to see, but I'm gonna read it out. So Boo has gone. I updated mine. Price, Wright, MVG, Wade, Anderson, Bully, Fallon, and Phil Taylor. No Crosser, Clayton.
You are he mad?
Yep.
Is he even outside of his mind?
Byrne says, I think the PDC changed the format to deal with COVID travel restrictions in different countries. These top 8 can win any tournament at any time. Once you get beyond that, it's doubtful. Yankee has said, I've got to go ready for food. Have a good night. Cheers, Yankee. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully see you, in episode 2. Burn says, keep the format to 8 players and you can start on double finishing in it. Oh, yeah, so that'll finish in one day. And beyond that, you need more than one day.
I won't mind that.
That would be good. That would be good. Jan says Dimitri Vandenberg. To be fair, I think we're actually giving Dimitri a bit of a like comb over here, and not actually talking about Dimitri. Don't forget, he's won the match play in his short professional career. He's the world number 9. Yes, he dropped 4 places, but he's still in the top 10. He's going to be in pretty much every single tournament this year.
He'll get people on the seats as well.
Exactly, opinion. Yeah, and he's entertaining. Yes, the dancing on stage it's a bit cringy, I must say.
I don't like that nonsense at all. I really don't. But on the dartboard, quality player, and I do watch the article about him about being a future world number 1. If he,
yeah, there's definitely a few players that, in my opinion, that are a future world champion. Luke Humphreys, Dimitri, but also the thing is with darts at the moment, the field, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent here, but the field is so sort of big and so sort of
competitive.
That you can have players like Callan Ridds that might never win a world title, but they might pick up a match play, might pick up a Grand Slam.
As long as you win a major, then well, trophies, so to say.
Yeah. Right. So, final thoughts on the Premier League. First of all, give me your 8. Actually, I forgot to ask you that. What is your 8 for the Premier League?
It was the same as yours, but the James Wade one's pretty dead to me now, if I'm being honest.
I think he
Because
gets
it's
in.
between him and Vandenberg. The other 7, you got White, in my opinion. Cross, Anderson, Smith, Keaton, Price, Van Duren, and White.
Yeah.
It's just, but you can't leave Wade out, in my opinion, because he's number 4 in the world, and he's won the UK Open as well.
Yeah.
And
Was it semi-final? No.
he's had
Quarter-final
good
of the
ones at the
World.
tournament as well. Semi-finals at the Worlds as well.
Yeah, and
Getting Michael Smith.
Grand Slam.
So I think Wade should be in it, but
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if Van Bird's in it, if I'm being honest.
A few more comments. Oh, we're not gonna. Oh God.
Look. Oh yeah, in the Tim Pot tournament.
Jan says, "Will he be in the Premier League? You think?" Do you know what? As soon as you mentioned that comment, it's actually re-sparked Dimitri Vandenberg back in my sort of mind that maybe we're overlooking Dimitri here, and maybe he does walk in there. He's so. I said this
something about Wade, might miss out.
I've said this 2 or 3 weeks before that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that Dimitri Vandenberg fits the profile of DARTS. He's slim, he's athletic, he can speak like 6 or 7 different languages, which helps with press conferences and stuff like that.
But with the greatest respect in the world, you could speak our Arabic language, and it's what you do on the dartboard. It's not.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
If you want to learn about different languages, go back to school.
Yeah, Q school.
No, not Q still, but
Boone says Premier League qualification has to be an accomplishment and not popularity, otherwise it loses integrity. Do you know what? I've always said this should be a qualifying criteria. There's a qualifying criteria for the World Championship, for the match play, for the Grand Slam, for the Grand Prix. There should be something like a rule where the top 4 get in, and then some sort of qualifying sort of routine where you've got to do something to qualify. But
I would personally like 2 leagues, in my opinion. A Premier League and Championship where you get where dating and promotion.
We've said this before.
It makes it more easier and for the Premier League, and it'd be called the Premier League, not this stupid format we've got where it's not called the Premier League. In my opinion, it's called the Premier Cup. Premier League Cup.
The Premier League Cup, yeah, like the
Super League.
No, like they do in Premier League pre-season. Was it the Premier League Asia Trophy or whatever it's called?
Premier League Asia Cup in pre-season.
Yeah. Burns says a very interesting point. Why not go with a top 7 in the order of merit and then the Masters champion if the Masters champion is not in the top 7? Yeah, very, very good format. Right.
Because they did it last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they got lucky.
Won it.
They got very lucky with that, because if the final was Price against Van Gogh, and they would have been in a bit of a tricky situation, to be truthfully honest.
And to be fair, Fan probably would have got in.
Well, not gonna argue or deny that. The final bit of the podcast, then, just to wrap it up, we are going to get 5 or 10 minutes of question time. So before we do that, please do make sure to smash us a like and subscribe to the channel. So far, it's been an absolute blast of a podcast. It's been absolutely fantastic. If you're watching this in future on Spotify, thanks for watching. And if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Get your comments in. You can be anything. Well, not anything, within reason, obviously, and darts. Don't ask me who's going to win the Champions League.
There was one question, wasn't there, where there was something about the Netherlands having their own team still? Yeah.
So the first question from Boo, you can answer this in the chat as well, but we're going to answer it first. Should the Dutch have their own Q school? Now, I'm going to take the sort of thing on this one first of all, and the impetus on this. I would say no. If you look at the averages, averages do not determine matches. I will consistently say that averages do not determine matches. However, you cannot rock up at Q school with some of the poor averages. Look, the top echelons of Dutch darts, very good. Very, very good. Is the top of Dutch darts. But when you go to the middle towards the bottom of it, it's scratching the surface for some decent games. So for me, I would say no, just because for the way the UK Q School is run is so good. You've got like Super League, you've got County, where there's very good players that go to Q School from that. I just don't think Dutch darts is developed enough to have their own Q School. That's just my opinion on it anyway.
The thing is, if you don't do a Netherlands Q still, you need to do it for other countries as well, like Germany, possibly Belgium, but I don't think there's many Belgian players, if I'm being honest.
That's the only problem you're going to have, because then
if you don't do it for the Netherlands, then you don't do it for other countries as well. The problem is, I still like the EU Q still, because you got everyone all over Europe, whether it's Czech Republic, like how I said yet, whether it's Kevin Dorrit from the Netherlands, and I prefer it that way, in my opinion, all over Europe.
Not just that, you can also get like players from Australia, America, all parts of
but
Brazil.
To be fair, American players, I think they get in by the UK too still, don't they? And
they can decide. Players that haven't got their designated Q score. So any
I like it the way it is personally.
Yeah. Go on next comment. Where's it gone? What comment should we get? We're not going to touch on the tour card on Q School, Finley, as we've already touched on Q School. A comment here from Jan says, Jan Van, I'm not going to pronounce that. So Jan Van C is what we're going to go with. He goes, what are your guys' thoughts about the Hybrex price game at the World Darts Championship? I'm going to let you take this one, because I'm put it this way, I'm not going to answer any sort of controversial comment about going price for obvious reasons, but as I will end up going off the rails with it. So this is full you. Take it.
Yeah, Tim Press before that said he was on divot. He was on divot all. Yeah, divot to dome price, and he did on stage. And obviously dome price will obviously divot no matter what, whoever he faces, which is fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, Chris Mason has said it. We don't need robots on stage, and he's right.
Yeah.
And it's why don't see anything wrong with dome price and it. As long as he doesn't cross the line and start punching someone, then it should be all right.
Yeah,
he's got close to doing that a few times.
Gary Anderson.
Well, Peter White in the World Championship, that semi-final.
Yeah.
And but I think the crowd do play a part as well.
Because he pointed. No, it was the Michael Smith game that he pointed to the crowd, wasn't it? I think this was the game with the sheep. You know what chant I'm on about? But the sheep chant.
And Tim Press went to the referee saying, pointing at dome price, and I think it was the 6th set. I think it was, and the 3rd, the 6th set. I think, and Tim Press was saying something to the referee. Whether it's dome price putting him off, this I didn't see he was. I think dome price probably the wall probably did it, but at the end of the day,
that's who he is.
At the end of the day, if you don't divot to dome price will divot back to you.
10 times harder as well.
And so if I was on stage for him, that would be very. I would need to keep my calm on it, because I'll divot back 100
Do
times.
it too much. We've got a comment from Finley. He says, who do you think will win the Masters? Question for both if you want to answer. The only reason why I'm not going to answer this, you're more than welcome to, Chris, but I'm going to actually do a preview show. So if you want to jump on for that, Chris, you don't have to answer this now if you want to wait for the preview show. But I'm actually going to... It won't be a long preview show, because the Masters is not a good tournament, is what I'm going to go with. But I'm not actually going to answer it yet.
I'm not going to say who it is, but it may surprise a few of you. And it may be unexpected, might not be unexpected.
Luke
And he
goes,
has
nothing.
been,
Yeah, go on.
and you have mentioned him in the stream on. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah. You're going to tell us in a minute. There's an interesting point, not a question from Luke, but I've started a question that we're going to come back to in a minute. But Luke says, nothing wrong with either of their behaviour. The BDO wanted silence and handshakes, and look where that ended up. So I totally agree here. What's the point? Like you said about Chris Mason, what's the point in having 180, 140 game shot in the match? Because that is going to have no sort of association with any player. The one thing that I think it was Matthew Edgar brought this up, and I cannot agree more. But he said, if I see someone on stage crying after they've missed the double for the match, and then your opponent's taken out, you feel some sort of connection with that player. Because he kicked the stage, didn't he? You know exactly what it means to them losing that match, and you get to feel closer to the player. You get to feel what it means to lose, and ultimately, on the flip side of that, what it would mean to win that game.
Yeah, I agree. Just look at Peter White. Peter White when he won the world title.
Yeah.
In that final
against the floor.
Against Smith and Van Duren.
The Van Duren one meant more. I think he said in an interview, I already won one going into this year's final, but that Michael Van Duren has beat him so many times, and to beat him in the fashion he did, it wasn't like 7-6 last decider. He absolutely annihilated him. Very, very interesting question. Probably the penultimate question. So get your comments, get your questions in. As we're going to be taking probably maybe one more question after this, and then we're going to wrap it up for the first episode. But Byrne says, outside the 8 rumoured players, who is the best / on-form player to miss getting into the Premier League? Searle, ? I'm going to go with a bit of an outsider. I'm looking at the order of merit. I know he's not done massively on stage this year. I'm going to go Joe Cullen. I think Joe Cullen fits the build of a Premier League and fits the build. I mean, what is he? He's 11th in the world, Cullen. He's 40 grand or 40 grand there or so off the top 10. So he's nearly in that top 10 by a couple of tournaments. What's your thoughts on that question? I'm going Cullen, but I can see why he's gone Searle, or why he's brought Searle up.
I can see why he's done Wayne Searle. I would say Callum Woods, but he only done it for the World Darts Championship.
Yeah.
So I can't really put him.
I would say with
He needs to do on the year, in my opinion, the whole previous year. I would go for Luke Humphreys.
Yeah. UK Open finalist. Done very good.
I'm not basing
quarterfinals of the world as well.
UK Open final. He's been in good form, regardless of that.
Yeah,
At the World Darts Championship, he was just so unlucky to run into Darry Anderson at his peak.
Yeah. Right, hang on. We've got one comment from Byrne, and then it's probably going to be the last question from Edward. So I'll bring this comment up first. He goes, Cullen has a lot of natural talent, but can he win big tournaments with that delivery style? Yes. When is not the question. It's if, and I think he will. Look, I'm not saying Cullen's going to go and win the world. I'm not saying that, but a match play where he loves the leg format. Joe Cullen is a leg format guy. We've seen him at the Worlds against Martin. It was shit. Martin, I had to get that in, the Martin Clearmacher. But yeah, Joe Cullen's ability is non-questioned. And I genuinely think that he will go a very, very long way. I've seen a couple of comments in the chat about my subscriber Premier League. Stay tuned. I will be updating you very soon on that.
I think with Joe Cullen,
go on.
I think with Joe Cullen, I think it doesn't help with what he's been through, obviously recently.
Yeah,
that
he has been through a lot
on him.
Mentally as well.
Mentally.
Darts is a mental game. It is a mental game.
Maybe one to watch for the whole this year. Joe Cullen.
Next year, bloody hell. Next week for episode 2 will be a stream basically in the podcast about what players we think are going to have a big year. So next week is going to be a very interesting stream. So the last question of episode 1 then, bit of a long-term question. How many world championships do you think MVG will win in his career? He sat on 3. I'm not sure how old he is. I'm just going to have a look.
Yeah, he's sat on 3, isn't he? Yeah.
32 years of age, and he's already sat on 3 world titles. I'm going to just put it out there. I'm going to say 5.
I'm going to say one more than 5. I'm going to say 6. I think he's going to beat Wayne van Barneveld's record of world titles. Where even though
I was just about to say,
even though most of them were pretty BDO.
But yeah. But at certain times of those BDO wins, BDO was the major.
Yeah, it started after them.
Yeah. Actually, get in the chat room how many you think MVG will get. But I'm gone 5. I think I would like to see he might win it next year, but I want to see. Q School's ended, Sean. Q School has already ended, pal. If you mean next year, I have absolutely no idea because I don't know who's going to drop off the tour.
He'll be. I think Van Doren's going to be on the mission this year.
You've said that to me. You've said that to me.
I honestly
think he's going to be on a bit of a mission.
The pain of the World Darts Championship, having to withdraw, he's going to make him more angry. It's going to be tough for him to win tournaments because you got Darren Price and Peter White, who are, we need to be honest, in the better type of form.
So Football Lad doesn't think he's going to win anymore. Bit of a shock.
I think he will.
Burn goes 4. I think he's past the hottest point. I like this. I like this comment a lot because he's not saying he's past it like a few idiots that I've seen saying Michael Van Gerwen is
basically saying he's past his...
The peak. The peak, basically. Peak. I think he's past the hottest point in his career. Hard to get back on that kind of streak. The field is too deep now.
Comment on the night for me.
Yeah. Even this is no disrespect to anyone on the tour, but even Michael Van Gerwen's sort of A to B game, the middle of the A to the B game, is still for me one of the top 6 or 8 in the world, towards the top 8 in the world. So even if he performs,
and he was still reaching out stages of tournaments as well, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he would have. Let's face it, he probably would have beat Chris Dobie. Then he probably would have beat Humphreys, it would have been Humphreys because Chizzy pulled out as well. Maybe he would have beat Gary. And then it would have been a semi-final. Then it would have been a semi-final of Peter Wright versus Michael Van Gerwen. So, it's if, buts and maybes, but ultimately that's not what happened. Finley agrees with me.
But every player's done through it. You probably won't like me saying this, but I think Darren Price at some point will reach his peak. And
a lot of people have said that about Gerwen, to be fair.
I'm not saying that at the moment. I think he's currently in his peak. But same with Peter White as well. I think he'll reach his peak at some point. It happens to every player. It happened to Phil Taylor.
And Phil Taylor,
even though he dominated.
Phil Taylor at his peak, and he still won about 12 world titles. No, in all seriousness, Phil Taylor is the best that I've ever seen. Luke says, if he gets his personal issues sorted, there will be hell to pay. The best player I've ever seen. He wins 7 or 8 for me. Wow. Big praise for Michael Van Gerwen there.
I wouldn't say the best ever. But
no.
He's definitely won the best. Definitely.
Yeah. Second best for me. Second best player ever. Yeah, and Finley has put there Phil Taylor is the best I've ever seen. Yeah, second best for me for Michael Van Gerwen. But anyway, guys, that is where we're going to wrap up episode 1 of the podcast. First of all, where can they find... Oh, bloody hell. That's not what we wanted to do.
Done it then.
Where can we find you, Chris?
You can find me at Chris Welch on YouTube and Chris Welch on Twitter at Chris Welch CUFC.
Yeah, I need to press the wrong button again then. Like I said, I have put Chris's link in the description. I think you're sat on 26 subscribers at the moment. Let's get into
28.
Let's get him to 30 subscribers now. So go down in this comment section below. Drop him a subscribe. Drop him a follow on Twitter as well.
Yeah, and there will be a car of the Hype Pool food coming
tonight.
Yeah. Depends how it does.
If you get battered 6-0, which I don't think you will, but yeah. I am also
Cheers
going
with the
to drop.
sunburn.
Oh, no worries.
Up.
Yeah, thanks for subscribing to Chris. He's the same guy, and we're gonna push this this podcast a lot this year. But yeah, please, I'm gonna put a poll on the on my community tab after this about what sort of topics you want me to potentially discuss next week. I've already got the main topics for next week already. I'm ahead of the game already. So we've got the topics for next week, but drop some potential topics that you would love us to discuss, and we may get around to discussing them. But like I said, please make sure to like this podcast, episode 1. I'm probably going to watch this tonight, actually, because I've enjoyed it. But no, yeah, it's been an absolute blast, like I knew it was going to be. Same time, same place next week. And next week, it is going to be a very interesting stream. We're going to be talking, which players have got a big year ahead. A preview, preview to the Masters, all of that good stuff. So I might combine the Masters preview in next week's podcast, because I don't think it's a tournament that realistically deserves its own preview show. Let's be brutally honest. But yeah, guys, you guys have been absolutely unbelievable in the chat room today. So a massive shout out to you. As you're leaving the stream, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Drop Chris a subscribe in the description down below. And I shall see you very shortly with a subscriber Premier League announcement. It's like the PDC. This is all I'm going to do is announce the time. But no, but I will update you with that. And I'm also going to drop a poll about any topics you would like to see in next week's podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.